Hi there, what's going on guys? Ready to learn about the lamp panel? The icon of the lamp panel is this one over there, as you can see it there. If you don't have it, you can always go to Windows and choose the lamp from there, or press this shortcut there. Honestly, I don't use that really. I use the properties panel because the properties panel brings up all the windows which are to do with whatever you're doing right now, so it's a lot more convenient instead of having like 1,000 panels at once. So you just have your one basic panel and the properties panel brings up all the others you need. But for our sake, we'll just keep this panel here. You can also pull it out from there like we learned in another lesson. You can move it around anywhere on this gray place. You just hold and you can move it around. You can collapse it with those two arrows there. And you can show all the options if you don't see all of those by choosing their hide options or show options. That'll show them, or you can press the small icon over there if you see it. That also does the same job, shows or hides or collapses it. Or you can even double click on there where it says the name of the panel. So if you double click, that does the same job as well. Now what the align panel does is, you named it, aligned, so it aligns any object. It's very similar to text. You can align it to the right or to the left, justify it in the middle, or center it, etc. That's the same thing as the align panel, just this time it's with objects. And also it distributes objects. That means you can distribute objects over a certain area, defined area, or over the whole artboard, like we'll see now. So let's just get this thing going here with a few elements, and let's make it nice and colorful. Just duplicating them, holding down Alt, and doing the same thing, pressing Ctrl or Command D. Just to change the size. Okay, we're just putting it in another layer. So for now we'll be reworking this layer over here. And to work with one object is very simple. So you have this one single object here. You can choose from any of these options on top. You can choose this align to left. That will make it align to the left of the artboard. And center, that will make the horizontal center. And right, top, middle, and bottom. Obviously, if you want to align any image to the center of the artboard, then you choose both the horizontal alignment and the vertical, and then that picture will be perfectly in the middle of this artboard. Even though you can see there the size of the artboard isn't the right size because there's more gap here than that, but it's the middle of the artboard, so you can always change the artboard size. Please say we align this to the center, and now we make a change, so we make this element or whatever it may be, we make it bigger. Then obviously you can see it's not straight in the middle, and you have to realign it once you make any change to it. So those are these first options. The next options are distribute, to distribute the objects. So obviously if you've got only one element, you can't distribute them. You can see here you have this icon align to, and you can choose from any of these three. This one is grayed out because you have to have more than one, and this one also, I'm not sure why it's not grayed out actually, because you can't select it. And if you see here, even if I would select it, align to selection, then once you click on anything, or even before that actually, it changes straight away to align to artboard. You can't even select it, so I'm not sure why it allows you to choose it, why it's not grayed out. Also right on top you can see there are only this top options. The moment you create another shape, I'm duplicating this with Alt, then you see once you select them both, there's more options now, these ones as well, because that wasn't available when you had only one option. So in any event, let's just go back to our first layer here. Now we can select all these elements. You can select more than one by simply holding Shift and clicking on those elements, or you can just simply drag over any desired elements you want, and you can use these just like we demonstrated before. So you can, even though it changes automatically there to align to selection, you can change it back to align to artboard, and you can choose align to left. That will align all of them to left. Sorry about that bug there. And you can choose align to right, to center, top, etc. It all does, it's as if it's one single element. And just by the way, if it's a group, so I'm grouping it, Control Command G. Now once you do it, so it works as one big element, and therefore it won't all join up together. So you can choose any of those, and now this whole group is in the center. Just undo that. So you can use those just like there, like we showed, or you can actually choose align to selection, and that'll work according to this bounding box you see around all these elements. So anything which I do here will be within that bounding box. So if I do align to left, all the objects will go to the left of that bounding box, or if I do center, then all the objects will go to the middle of the bounding box, and to the top the same thing, everything will go to the top. You get there. Now the next option is distribute. So you can distribute any of these elements and make an equal spacing between each one. Here you can go for distribute center, and the space between this one and this one and this one should be the same. But what it actually does is it doesn't distribute from the object itself, it distributes from the center of the object. And so it does this one. So this one to the left, that means from the left of this shape to the left of this one is the same distance as from the left of this shape to the left of that one. So honestly, I don't really use that because it's not very useful. Unless obviously if you have the same size objects exactly, then it may be convenient, because then it doesn't make a difference. You can see that I'm doing it to center, so there's exact same distance between each one of these objects. But if we're dealing, like we said, if we have these two even as well, let's just bring those back here, and we do distribute even to the center, you'll see that it looks terrible because it's only from the center point of this one to that one is the same distance, but not according to the objects themselves. And by the way, you can see this small like square sign in the middle that shows the center of each object. Also, if you press Control or Command Y to see the preview mode, so you can see there's like a X there to show the center of each one, just by the way. Now, so thankfully there is another distribute option here, and that does according to the spacing. So that doesn't care on the size of the object, it just does the spacing between. And you see, once I press on that, sorry, just take away those bugs, once you press on that, then you can see there's the equal amount of space between each object, and it has nothing to do with the size maybe, or whatever the case, it will always do according to the object itself. Now this distribute is according to the selection, like we said. So if you want to make these objects all distribute within a certain area, then you would put that last object there, and the next one you wanted to distribute in the most extreme right and left points, and then you put all the other elements in the middle, select all of them, and then press distribute, and they'll all be distributed within that area. So that's a way how to use it all. Now obviously you can also choose here to do a line to the artboard, and once you do that, then it will be distributed according to the whole entire artboard. So you can do it to center, and the center of each point will be the same amount of space, or you can choose that one and there'll be the same amount of spacing throughout the whole artboard. Sorry, I'm just showing right and left. Obviously it can also be top and bottom. And also once you do it to the artboard, then you'll see that any object or element which is outside the artboard will automatically go inside it, because you're distributing within the area of the artboard, as you can see there. Now we've got one more option, align to key object. That will only be available once we've got a key object. A key object is our main object, that's like the king. So all the other objects will be aligned to it. That's our main object, and we're aligning all the other objects according to that single object. To define your key object, you select all the objects you want and single press any object. Say this yellow one is my main object, it could be anyone. You single press it without any shift, no key, no nothing. I'm just pressing on the mouse once, and you see this outline around it. That shows, by the way, it doesn't have to be blue. It obviously depends which layer it's within. You can see that's a blue layer, like we spoke about in the other layer panel tutorial. So that shows that this is our main focus object. As you can see, this changes automatically to a key object there. And now all these options will be in relation to this main object. So if I choose align to right, they will all be aligned to the right of this object. Same goes with the center, the same goes, sorry I didn't choose that, that's why I moved, center, etc. all of them. Then it just does the same thing and distribute, so you distribute exactly from the center, so they all move inwards towards that center object. If you want to choose another key object, then you simply click on something else, so you can change that into your key object, and you see that thick line around that one now, or that one, or whatever you want. If you want to cancel the key object, you can simply click on it once and I'll cancel it, or you can go to these options here in the align panel and choose cancel key object. That will also cancel it there. Once you have a key object selected, so I'm selecting this, it's the biggest, so it looks best. Then you have another option which was always grayed out, and this option allows you to choose exactly how much space will be between each of these objects. Even though it's a key object, but each one of those will be the equal spacing. You can choose any of those, either horizontal or vertical. And you can put in any number. If you want to define the number, you can put it in. You can even put it in as a 5 inches, say, or anything you want, and press this, any of those, and you'll see it converts it automatically to millimeters, and it distributes all of those evenly. You can see it's going out of the artboard because we didn't define it according to the artboard, so it will be in that space. You can always press these small arrows up or down to increase or decrease the amount, or you can just scroll on your mouse. You can do that also. Let's just go for 10, and you press this again, and you'll see there'll be a 10 millimeter distance between each one of those objects. And obviously the same goes if you do it this way around. You can have it the same, and you distribute them vertically. You can change the number and distribute vertically. That will make the same amount vertically between those. So that's all very nice and simple. Now what happens if you add a certain effect to a shape? Let's see what happens there. So you can go to your effects and choose from there anyone you want. Say we've got this effect here, and now we choose distribute objects, or we want them at north spacing, say, so you have this 0, and we choose that over there, and look what happens. This doesn't align to the shape, so this shape is actually longer. As you can see, it goes there, and it doesn't align into the shape, only to the bounding box, because we added this effect and the effect extends out to the bounding box. The bounding box doesn't change based on this effect, and therefore all the shapes are aligning to the bounding box, not to the shape itself. Same thing will happen if we add a very thick stroke or any of that sort. Let's just get here a very thick stroke. As you can see, the bounding box doesn't extend there beyond the stroke. Just change the color here, and even if we choose align all of them and make it like that, or say we choose a key object, say that's our key object, and we choose that to be north, so we don't want any space between them, we'll see this goes into that shape. And the reason, once again, is because that the bounding box is only around the shape and not in any effect that we've added. So how do you change that? The way to do it, you go to these options once again, and you choose use preview bounds. Now it will choose the actual bounds of the shape. As you can see, that's extended there. And if we choose a main key object once again and we distribute them, voila, they all became exactly according to the shape and not according to the bounding box. So now this is distributed very beautifully. So we basically finished with that. You could also align text. Say we've got this text over here. You can't align the text itself, but if we have another box or even an image or anything it may be, you can align these two. Well, too heavy over there. You can align these two together like any way you want, just like a regular object, and you can do distribute, center, etc. So it works just as well. The only thing is, if you've got a very big bounding box, so we have lots of text there, we can erase some. If you've got a very big bounding box and you want to align that, so like we said, we have an option to use preview bounds. Even though we've got that checked, say and I want to distribute them horizontally, then you can see this does according to the bounding box, even though this here is checked, because this is text and it's not a regular shape or anything, and that's why it doesn't recognize that as being the end of the text or any of that sort. There is a very cool thing you can do. Say we've got this text over here and I have this emoji or picture or image or anything this may be. If you choose that option here, you can choose them both. If you want, just keep them on, and you select them both, it will recognize the text, where the text ends, etc. So even if you've got a very large text box, it still won't make any difference, because it will align it to the text itself. Once I've selected them both, I select both elements, then if I press align to bottom, you can see it aligns to the bottom of the text, and the top, same thing, the middle. And if I choose to the right side, you see it goes to the most right of the text, it doesn't go to the most right of the bounding box. So it's very cool and easy to work with if you're dealing with some emojis or any of that sort that you want to combine it within text. Also, it doesn't have to be in the bounding box of the text, so you can choose that there, and you see the bounding box of the text isn't extending into that box. Nevertheless, it'll still work. You can select them both, choose align to bottom, and it will go to the bottom of the text, not to the bottom of that. So that's very cool. And as you see, we've gone through all these options. Hide options, the same thing as pressing that. Key object, or you can just press on the key object again, that will cancel it. And use preview bounds, we said if you added an effect or a stroke, any of that sort, so it wouldn't go according to the bounding box, only according to the actual element. And this is the last one with the text here. Now there's another cool tip you could use. Let's get this text away. Say you've got here two elements, and we've got one like that, small, and one bigger, etc. Now you can select the anchor points and align only the anchor points, so that's very cool. So if you want to extend these shapes, all of them, to match the same height, you simply select all those anchor points by using the direct selection tool and drawing a line over them, or you can select them with shift or control and press to the top, say, and all of those will extend right up to the top. So it's quite cool. You can obviously change it to anything, to the artboard, and it will go to the most right of the artboard, etc. Now another cool thing is you can also align guides. So you press Ctrl Command R, and now you see these guides. Say you want to get guides to be right in the middle of your artboard, so you can pull out these two guides, and you can select the guide that's selected now, it's in a blue color, and choose align to center of the artboard, and that goes right in the center. And you can choose that one, align to center, and that will take you also to the center. And then you can lock them, and that's right in the middle of the artboard. And by the way, of course, if you want to see the center point of the artboard, then like we showed in the artboard lesson, you can select the artboard and you'll see show center mark, and you'll get the center there. So you can choose it from there. Just undoing that. Then you could also distribute the guides as well. So say you've got 3 guides, you want to divide this artboard up into 4, then you can distribute them across the whole artboard. You can even choose a key object by clicking it once like a regular element, and choose the spacing, so you can get exact spacing, say 40, and you can do it even more, 100 say, and distribute it, and that will give you an exact distribution between them. Or obviously you can just select that and choose distribute to center. Since I don't have a lot, so it's going to the sides. If I have a few more, then I can distribute them, and you'll get that very nicely distributed over there. So that's as far as all of that goes. Unfortunately, there is no a line around a circle, so that's a very sad thing. I hope one day they would add it, but for the time being we'll have to use, I guess, if you want to align anything around a circle, we'll have to use this rotate tool and choose the place and just rotate it. You can hold Alt to copy it, and you can do Control Command D and I'll do the same thing around. So that's what we have to do for now. I hope one day they'll add that feature. Fine, so we've gone through the whole align panel and I'm so pleased I made this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you gained anything, please give a like and subscribe. Also, feel free to add any of your comments, suggestions, ideas, or just anything you want to share at the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.